500 crore rupees. Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into a really fascinating overlap today. You know, sometimes history has a funny way of rhyming, and we often find the most incredible connections in places we'd absolutely least expect them. Today, we're unpacking an unexpected parallel between a monumental event in Indian cinema and a pioneering aerospace triumph that totally captivated the globe. It's a story of ambition, massive scale, and reaching new frontiers both on the silver screen and way out in the cosmos. So, to get us started, I want to pose a slightly puzzling question to you. What do a ruthless, masked vigilante hunting down drug syndicates and a highly advanced lunar rover exploring the moon's surface actually have in common? I know, it sounds like the setup to a really weird joke, doesn't it? But the answer actually lies in two uniquely Indian milestones that took the world by storm back in 2022 and 2023. Well, let's dive right in. The answer? They both share the exact same name, Vikram. On one hand, we have a cinematic juggernaut that essentially redefined an entire industry, and on the other, an engineering marvel that made history for all of humanity. As we walk through this, we're going to see how this single name became entirely synonymous with historic success across two completely different universes. Section 1. The Cinematic Universe. Lokesh Kanagaraj's Vision. Let's shift gears into a fast-paced, high-stakes world to look at this first universe. We're talking about the 2022 Tamil-language action thriller film, simply titled Vikram. Directed by the visionary Lokesh Kanagaraj, this wasn't just a movie release. It was an absolute cultural event that gripped audiences everywhere. The film stars the legendary Kamal Hassan, playing the titular character Vikram. He's a former commander of a Black Ops Squad's pilot batch. Everyone thinks he's dead, right? But he emerges from the shadows to hunt down this brutal drug syndicate known as Vedi Vagayara. Now, what's really cool for longtime fans is that this film serves as a spiritual successor to a 1986 film also called Vikram, which Kamal Hassan also starred in. Add in a powerhouse supporting cast with Vijay Sethupathi and Fahad Fasal, plus an absolutely iconic, pulse-pounding score by Anirudh Ravichandar, and you've basically got a recipe for cinematic dynamite. And this is where it gets super interesting, because it brilliantly illustrates how the 2022 film isn't just a standalone story. It's actually the beating heart of a much larger narrative web called the Lokesh Cinematic Universe, or the LCU. If we track the timeline, it traces the seeds all the way back to 1987 with the original Vikram team. Then, fast forward to March 2019 with the events of the director's earlier film, Kaiti, which all go down in a single chaotic night. Just 3 months later, in June 2019, the main story of our 2022 film, Vikram, explodes onto the scene, dealing directly with the fallout of that drug war from Kaiti. It perfectly sets the stage for future films like Leo in 2021. I mean, it is just a masterful stroke of interconnected storytelling. And wow, did the audiences respond? The sheer scale of this achievement really cannot be overstated. To put it in a perspective, the Lokesh Cinematic Universe has emerged as the most successful Tamil movie series ever created, generating over 1,200 crore rupees globally. The film Vikram itself was an absolute powerhouse, bringing in staggering box office numbers estimated somewhere between 424 and 500 crore rupees, making it the fourth highest-grossing Indian film of 2022. It wasn't just a movie, it was an undisputed cultural milestone. Okay. So, we've explored the fictional heights of the Lokesh Cinematic Universe. But right around the time the nation was celebrating this massive cinematic triumph, an entirely different team of experts was preparing to conquer the actual universe. Let's execute a sharp pivot here, from the fictional world of drug syndicates to the awe-inspiring, very real world of India's space exploration. Part 2, Mission to the Moon, ISRO's Chandrayaan-3. We're shifting our focus from the silver screen straight up to the stars. Welcome to the story of ISRO's Chandrayaan-3, India's incredibly ambitious follow-on lunar mission. If the cinematic Vikram was all about conquering the box office, well, this Vikram was about conquering the treacherous, unexplored terrain of the moon's surface. Let's look at the incredible hardware that made this trip possible. Launched by the mighty LVM-3 rocket from Sriharikota, the spacecraft consisted of 3 primary components. First up, the propulsion module. Weighing in at 2148 kilograms, its job was to carry the payload safely to a 100-kilometer lunar orbit. Second, tucked neatly inside, was the Pragyan rover, a nimble little 26-kilogram vehicle designed to actually roam around the lunar surface. But the heavy lifter, the absolute star of the show here, was the lander module. It weighed a massive 1,752 kilograms, and its name? The Vikram lander. Its sole monumental task was to execute a safe, soft landing on the moon. Now, the mission objectives laid out by the Indian Space Research Organization were clear, but honestly, incredibly daunting. Step 1 was exactly what we just mentioned, demonstrating a safe and soft landing on the lunar surface, specifically targeting that challenging southern polar region. Step 2 was to demonstrate the Pragyan rover successfully roving on the moon. And Step 3 was to conduct in situ or on-site scientific experiments. This wasn't just about getting there, It was about demonstrating complete end-to-end capability in extraterrestrial landing and mobility. What's really fascinating about this breakdown is how meticulously the scientific work was divided up among the modules once they actually arrived. The propulsion module wasn't just a taxi, it used a payload called SHAPE to study Earth from lunar orbit, which actually helps us understand what habitable planets look like from afar. Down on the surface, the Pragyan rover used APXS and LIBES to literally fire lasers and alpha particles at lunar rocks to figure out exactly what they're made of. And our star, the Vikram lander, was packed with instruments like ILSA to measure moonquakes and another highly specialized tool called CHASTI. Let's zero in on that CHASTI payload for a second, which stands for Chandra Surface Thermophysical Experiment. This wasn't just some basic thermometer. We are talking about a highly advanced temperature probe equipped with a controlled penetration mechanism. Its job was to physically dig down, reaching a depth of 10 centimeters right into the lunar topsoil. Fitted with 10 individual temperature sensors along its length, it was designed to figure out exactly how the moon's surface retains and transfers heat. So here is the crucial takeaway. When the Vikram lander successfully touched down, it deployed that CHASTI payload, and the data it sent back was completely unprecedented. It provided the first ever temperature profile of the lunar South Pole's topsoil. Humanity had literally never seen this data before. It proved that the Vikram lander wasn't just a vehicle. It was a pioneering scientific laboratory operating hundreds of thousands of miles away from Earth. Section 3. India's Twin Triumphs, Bridging Two Worlds. Taking a step back, it is truly incredible to look at these two massive events side by side. On one side, you have a fictional commander named Vikram, who united an audience of millions, reviving the theatrical experience and setting totally new benchmarks in Indian filmmaking. On the other side, an actual robotic lander, named Vikram, that carried the hopes of over 1 billion people, touching down on untouched lunar soil and expanding the very boundaries of human knowledge. To synthesize everything we've unpacked today in this explainer, these records bridge the gap between pioneering aerospace achievements and major cultural milestones in Indian cinema. The name Vikram became an enduring symbol of historic success during this era, seamlessly bridging two completely different worlds. Whether we're talking about major cultural milestones in art and entertainment, or pioneering aerospace achievements that push the limits of science, the impact is just undeniable. Both Vikrams proved that with enough vision, planning, and execution, the most ambitious goals can absolutely be realized. Which brings us to our final thought for today. We've seen what happens when absolute mastery of craft is applied to a movie screen. And we've seen what happens when brilliant scientific minds work together to reach the lunar South Pole. From the boundless heights of human imagination to the literal stars above, what frontier do you think India will conquer next? Think about that as you go about your day. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope you found this parallel as fascinating as I did. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.